Okay, guys, example number 4. Now, before you read what it says, sorry, you already read it. I know you did. But pretend like you didn't read it and you were thinking, okay, this is going to be another sine function. Okay? When I look at this, it doesn't look like a normal sine function. In fact, if you were to kind of look at where the sine function started, it might start like right there. And it might go down, right? So all of these functions you can actually write as a sine or a cosine function. We call it a phase shift. This would be where I shifted the whole graph to this side. Now we're not going to be looking at phase shifts in this class, and I will tell you, hey, you're looking at a cosine function when it's supposed to be a cosine function. Okay, but we've got this graph. We need to write it in terms of an equation, and let's see how we do that. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to start with our principal axis. Okay, d equals. Now I know that a cosine function. Let's start with the cosine function. Starts either at the top or at the bottom. In this case, if we look at 0, we're actually starting up at the top. It's going to go down, up, and then here. Okay? That's going to be a normal cosine function. So if I trace that, this is one cycle. And if I look, I've actually got 2 valleys and I've got 2 peaks. And that's going to come up in just a second. But let's figure out what that principal axis is to start with. So we know that we start at the top at 0 and we end up at the bottom at -4. So 0 plus -4 divided by 2. And so 0 plus -4 is -4. -4 divided by 2 is -2. So I can think about this principal axis as going through at -2. Okay, so that's good. We've got our d value. Let's go ahead and circle that. d equals -2. Now on to our b value. b. So b is going to be how many peaks I see. So again, I saw 2 peaks, 2 valleys. b is going to be 2. So my period is 360 divided by 2, which is 180. And if I look up here at my first peak, halfway between 0 and 360 is 180. Now it's time to talk about that pesky domain and range. So domain. Well, it looks like the lowest value of domain I see on the graph is -180. Greater than or equal to, again, remember domain is x, and we go up to 360 degrees. And now our range. Well, I can see that I go down to -4. I don't have to do the math on this. I could do the principal axis plus the amplitude. I don't need to do that. I can see on the graph it goes down to -4. There's my y value, and it goes up to 0. So there's our domain, and there's our range. And now all we need is our amplitude. So our amplitude is going to be that principal axis, -2. But we're actually going to put -2 second. We're going to go between 0 and -2. So 0 minus -2 divided by, 0, sorry, let's go top and bottom. 0 minus -4, my apologies. 0 minus -4 divided by 2. 0 minus -4 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Our amplitude is 2. Y equals our value of a, 2 cosine of, and you notice these parentheses. I'm going to talk about these parentheses in just a second. So 2 bx, put that parenthesis around it, plus d, and d is -2. I don't want to do plus negative. I want to just do -2, and that's going to be our equation. So at the beginning of this video, I talked about a phase shift. And you may be looking at this equation and saying, wait a second, I have A, B, and D. What about C? In another class, in the trigonometry class, you may see this. A cosine of bx minus or plus C plus D. That C represents the phase shift. So if I was to go over and make this a sine function, how much would I have to shift the graph to the side? That would be my value of C. Again, in this class, we're not going to deal with phase shift, but I just wanted you to understand why this broken alphabet existed. We're just going to do A, B, and D, but there is a mysterious letter C that you would cover in another class. So guys, that's going to do it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll talk in class.